There's a light in the sky, rising in the air. There's a feeling so strong. It's time to light the fire, like a bright shining light. Learn, getting more out of life. Love, sharing time with friends, feeling so strong.
Hello, welcome to the House of Wellness. Great to be back with you in season 2021. And for the second week in a row, the whole team is here together. Welcome Joe Stanley, Gerald Quigley and Hinesy. Good to have the team together.
It is awesome to see us all in person.
Yeah.
How good is that?
Now, we've spent a lot of time recently forming greater social connections and trying to get communities going. But I want to start a slightly different tack, Joe, and that's talking about the self. And the idea of being selfish. Is it as bad as it sounds?
I don't think it's selfish to make sure that your health mentally and physically is as good as it can possibly be so that you are around for the people that you love and for the people that love you. That's not selfish, is it?
Fair, good point.
One of my favourite quotes is actually, you can't pour from an empty cup. And it's not dissimilar. If you are in an emergency on a plane, they always say, make sure you affix your own mask before you help others. Otherwise, you're no help to anybody.
But perhaps instead of the word selfish, let's look at the word self-care. And there's certainly more of a focus on that now.
Look, and the word self-care can actually mean working on your self-image. Now, a recent story came out of the UK, actually, Joe, of a sign of things to come, literally.
I love this story. A competition asked people to submit new road sign designs to smash stereotypes surrounding older people. And the winning entry swaps the traditional image of elderly people hunched over and walking with a cane to an energetic couple dancing across the street. It's absolutely glorious.
We need to leave stereotypes at the front door. Too many times we feel like we're defined by what people think we should be, and we often become what we always talk about. So if that head voice inside our head is saying we're one thing and only that, it's going to hold us back in life.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's be celebrating all of us at different ages and different stages of our lives. Love that. I also can't not mention, because, you know, I'm very passionate about gender equality, February 11 is International Day of Women and Girls in Science. There's been a big push globally to engage women in the sciences, yet still the numbers are incredibly low. There's something like just 8% in fields like engineering and construction. So it's really critical that we encourage our girls to head into STEM.
Joe, you know what I love seeing on the construction sites you drive past? 10 years ago, you'd rarely see a female, but there's female tradies everywhere. Often you see the girls out the front of the sites holding the stop-go signs as well. Yeah. So it feels like a change in that landscape.
I love that. I love seeing the women who turn up with the hard hats and they're the engineers in control of the site. It's fantastic.
And what about you, Hines? I believe you're back in the kitchen.
Mate, it's been a big week. I can say that I've been enlightened like you wouldn't believe. I caught up with the Junior MasterChef 2020 winner, and I tell you what, this 11-year-old in the kitchen is dynamite. Taught me a thing or two, not going to lie.
Now, GQ, I understand your inbox has been flooded with a whole range of questions, as always. What have you been up to?
It has been, Das. Kids are back at school and they bring friends home, but when those friends are head lice, it's not good.
Oh, my God, it's my greatest fear.
Don't you feel witchy straight away?
We're going to be chatting about that, Das.
You have got a cure for head lice. Stay tuned. I understand you've got some information on that front. Sounds like a great show. All kicks off next. Welcome back. Well, February is the month of love, Joe. If you're a couple, maybe Valentine's Day is your thing. If you're single, maybe not so much. But how about on the home front with you? I'm very interested in this because I see Daz as a bit of an old romantic. I can imagine there's lots of flowers, chocolates coming your way Valentine's Day.
Not so much, but, you know, I was pretty cynical about it for a very long time. And then you know what happened? Our daughter, Willow, showed us again how beautiful it is to do just simple acts of love for each other. And so Valentine's Day, our whole family, we like to write just beautiful, heartfelt cards for each other, which I think is nice to remember. It's nice to know people love you.
Well played, Willow. Great advice and great stuff from her. Now, Valentine's Day, a lot of people think is a bit commercialised. and a bit of an American-style stunt. But according to Google research, the Western world isn't where Valentine's Day is the most popular.
Oh, this is amazing. Iran actually tops the list, which is surprising because ads and things to do with Valentine's Day have been banned there since 2011. Maybe that's why.
Yeah, known for their art and their culture, Iran, so maybe not as surprising as it sounds. However you celebrate or don't, I think we'll agree that showing the people closest to you that you love them is a very important thing.
Absolutely. Are you a bit of a romantic, Doug?
Probably not my strong suit either, Joe. Valentine's Day, not big in our house.
OK, well, according to a book that's gone gangbusters since its release in the 90s, there is nothing random about love. It's actually a science that anyone, even you, Darcy, can master. Gary, love has to be one of the greatest emotions, but also one of the hardest to define. How would you define love?
Well, I think there are many definitions of love. I think there's many kinds of love. You know, we talk about falling in love. That's a very emotional experience. And it's really an emotional obsession. You get obsessed with the other person. They're the most wonderful person you've ever seen in your life. That's one kind of love. But love is also an attitude. It's a way of looking at life and looking at yourself. It's the attitude that says, I want to enrich the lives of the people that I encounter today. And I want to enrich the life of my spouse or my friend. So it's an attitude. So there's an emotional aspect and there's an attitudinal aspect and there's a behavioral aspect. If you have an attitude of love, it will affect your behavior. So we have to talk about what kind of love we're talking about.
Why do you say love is a choice?
I think the attitude of love is a choice. Now, falling in love is not a choice. It just happens. You see this person, there's something about the way they look and the way they talk and the way they emote that will give you an emotional, I call it an emotional tingle. You just are attracted to them. Yeah, and that's an emotion. But the kind of love I'm talking about, love is an attitude with appropriate behavior, is a choice. Maybe I don't have strong emotional feelings for my spouse, for example. Maybe we've had too many arguments and we've said hateful things to each other and I've lost all those emotional feelings. But if I have an attitude of love, I choose my attitudes. I don't choose my emotions, but I choose my attitudes. And if I choose to take the attitude toward my spouse, for example, that I want to enrich their life, I want to do something to make their life easier, I want to help them accomplish their goals in life, that's a choice. That's an attitude. And I can then follow through with that thinking and actually do things that will enrich their lives. So in that sense, love is a choice.
And do you find that if you choose the right attitude, that can then flow on to the right feelings?
I think when you choose the attitude of love and then you learn how to express love to that person in a way that's meaningful to them, you stimulate emotions in them, and those emotions draw them to you. And if they communicate love in a way that's meaningful to you, I call them love languages. If they communicate love in your love language, you feel love. It stimulates love. So the behavior stimulates the emotion that we typically call, I feel loved, I feel cared for, I feel valued.
It feels like it can create a really beautiful cycle between you.
Well, I think it does. You know, I didn't know anything about love languages when I got married, and I did what comes natural for all of us. I expressed love to my wife in a way that I would want to receive love. I gave her words of affirmation. I told her how beautiful she was. I told her how much I appreciated what she did. I probably told her a dozen times a day, I love you, honey. I am so glad I married you. I love you. And I said that, you know, in the early days of our marriage. And one night she said to me, you keep on saying, I love you, I love you. If you love me, why don't you help me? And I was blown out of the saddle because in my mind, I loved her. And she's saying, if you love me, you would do something to help me. It's not enough to be sincere. We have to learn the love language of the other person, what makes them feel loved, and then choose to speak that language.
I'm really keen to hear about the love languages. What does that mean?
What I discovered is that there's fundamentally, at least in my research, 5 basic love languages, 5 ways to express love. We've talked about mine, which is words of affirmation, just verbally affirming them for things that you genuinely appreciate about them. And one is acts of service, doing things for them, about which we've talked. And then there's gifts, giving gifts. The gift says they were thinking about me. Look what they got from me. And for some people, this is what makes them feel loved. Then there's quality time, giving them your undivided attention. It can be a conversation together, but the TV is off, the computers are down, we're in giving each other our full attention, or taking a walk down the road together and talking. And then there's physical touch, affirming physical touches. And the basic idea is that out of those 5, each of us has a primary love language. One of the 5 will speak more deeply to us emotionally than the other 4. Now, we can appreciate all 5 of them. We're not going to turn away any one of those, but one of them is going to really speak deeply to us, much deeper than the others. And if you don't receive love in your primary language, then you don't feel loved, even though the other person is speaking some of the other languages.
So is this a signpost to us as far as if we're not connecting with our partner, the first step is to understand what love language we need?
Yeah, I think by nature, we speak our own language. That is, if we don't know anything about this concept, whatever makes us feel loved, that's what we do for them. But we're missing them emotionally. But once we learn what makes them feel loved, we have a choice.
Is it difficult to learn someone else's love language?
It all depends on whether or not you learned to speak these love languages when you were growing up. For example, if you never received words of affirmation growing up, it'll be hard for you to learn how to speak words of affirmation as an adult to the other person. But here's the good news. You can learn to speak another person's language, any of these 5 languages, as an adult, even if you did not receive them as a child. But it will take more effort for some people than it will for others. So what I'm saying is you can learn. It's like learning a new language, but we can learn. And when we understand how important it is, we're motivated to learn how to speak that language.
And I assume that knowing that your partner is trying already makes you feel more loved.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. When you realize that you are contributing to their life, it becomes easier for you to do it because you understand how important it is. And like learning any language, the more you speak it, the easier it becomes. It can be a learning curve, but we can learn, and there are few things that are more profitable than learning how to communicate love meaningfully to the significant people in your life.
Let me tell you, I'm all over the 5 languages of love, but I actually reckon there's a 6th, the language of food, and that is ageless. Some of our best cooks are kids, which was proven when a tiny young Victorian won Junior MasterChef recently. So after the break, I'll be stepping back and Georgia will be stepping up to teach me a thing or two about food. That's next on the House of Wellness. It's not often I'm the sous chef in my own kitchen, but I'm happy to take a step back today because I am joined by the winner of Junior MasterChef Australia. Georgia, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
You ready to cook up a storm today?
Yes, I am.
You're obviously a huge talent in the kitchen, especially to take out the top title. Where did you get your love of cooking from?
Well, I've loved cooking since I was really, really little. My mum and dad they weren't scared to let me cook. I always obviously had supervision because if you give a 3-year-old a large knife, that's not going to end very well. No. I've just always loved experimenting. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. And I guess it was just like that sort of thing that made me love it so much.
So talk me through what we're going to be making today.
Well, today we're going to make some rainbow quesadillas.
Yum.
We have lots of different vegetables to make it nice and colourful. We have some red capsicum, carrot, corn, zucchini, red cabbage, cheese and black beans.
What I love is that they're so colourful and they're really healthy as well. Capsicum is a fantastic source of vitamin C. We've got a good source of zinc from the black beans and cheese is really high in iodine. Plus, they're all delicious. What can I help you out with?
Well, you can start off by frying up the beans and the spices.
Yes, chef. bean filling is looking awesome. Georgia, what are you up to?
So I've just started making the guacamole, which is going to go with our quesadillas.
Why is it important for you to eat healthily?
Well, I feel like when you eat healthy and you pay attention to what you're eating, it makes you feel better. And it also just means you're nicer to yourself and other people. Having energy just means you can have more fun with what you're doing, and it means you do more and pay attention more and learn new things.
All the ingredients are ready. It's time to load up our quesadillas. So how do we plate this thing up?
So what we're going to do is we're going to get all of our vegetables and we're going to just put them in rainbow order on our tortilla.
Now, this is a bit of a tricky one, Georgia. What is your favourite ingredient to cook with?
I really love cooking with citrus.
Yum. What would you do with the citrus?
Well, I like putting it in pastries. I also like putting it in tarts. It's also, you can use citrus for savoury dishes as well.
You are making my mouth water. A lemony citrus pastry. Maybe that could be dessert after our quesadilla?
Sounds good to me.
Okay, so I'm in charge of the cheese. How much do we need?
I think you need quite a bit.
Okay, I'll be very generous.
So we are going to fold the tortilla on top of the cheesy bit.
Okay.
I'm just going to pop that in the toasty maker until the cheese is all melty and it's nice and golden brown.
So I press down here.
Yep.
Scoop it up.
This is the messy part.
And here we go. Ready?
Set, go.
Okay, so whilst this is cooking, what advice would you have for other kids who want to get involved in cooking themselves?
Well, I think you really have to be patient. I'm not saying I am patient, but it helps. You also really just need to try new things. Don't always follow the recipe. Have fun with it.
Okay, so how are we going to know it's ready?
Well, I think how cheesy it's looking is always a good indication. Looks perfect.
Oh, doesn't it ever? Nice job, sister. So in addition to a healthy, balanced diet, just like this delicious quesadilla and regular exercise, and for parents who might be looking to fill nutritional gaps in their kids' diet in the form of supplements, our friends at Swiss have released a new kids gummies range. They're 99.9% sugar-free, no artificial sweeteners, made with only natural colours and flavours. There's nothing to hide. There's a range of flavours to appease even the fussiest of eaters. They're the tastiest way to support your child's general bone and immune health. Okay, finish it off with a touch of coriander. Now, I've got a question and I want you to be really honest. What do you think of my skills in the kitchen? Do you reckon I've got what it takes to go to the next level?
Look, I think you're pretty good, but your quesadilla flipping skills have a lot to be desired.
I would agree. I think I'll leave the quesadilla making up to you.
The children are back at school and sometimes they bring unwanted friends home in the form of head lice. The head louse lives on the human scalp. It spends its entire life there. It feeds on human blood. Creepy, I know. Therefore, the treatment involves looking at the life cycle of the head louse. Your pharmacist will have a range of products to address the eggs, the louse itself, the itching. It might be a conditioner to stop the eggs from attaching themselves to the hair shaft. It could be an insecticidal product to get rid of the head lice on the scalp itself. And if you're not sure there's a head lice issue, get your pharmacist involved. They'll love it. Do you remember the days when you were running around the schoolyard, hot day, didn't ever have time for a drink, then wake up during the night with painful legs, aching calf muscles? These are colloquially called growing pains. There's no medical diagnosis as such, but it seems to occur during a growth spurt that a child's going through, where bones are growing and perhaps tendons and muscles aren't keeping up. So the excessive exercise is putting real pressure on the joints and the muscles. The specific remedy here is calcium phosphate, and I'm surprised how quickly growing pains will settle with the addition of calcium phosphate in a growing child. Give it a try. Ear infections can worry any of us, but in a growing child, they can be particularly troublesome. Our ear has 3 chambers. The inner chamber controls balance, and if that becomes a problem, it needs to be medically checked out and can cause sometimes nausea, sometimes dizziness, sometimes vomiting. The outer parts, though, can often become blocked with wax or with mucus, and a saline irrigation, isotonic saline, is very useful there. If symptoms persist, please speak to your health professional. They'll provide you with the best advice. But most importantly, live well, be well, stay well.
Something I've noticed amongst the kids in my life is that they seem to be hitting puberty a lot sooner, and global studies show that girls especially are hitting puberty about a year earlier than we were in the 70s. And the reasons aren't really clear. It could be better diet, more exposure to artificial light, of all things, and even chemical pollutants could be the cause. But what I find really, I guess, upsetting is that I see that they're physically maturing, but emotionally and mentally, they're not quite at the same level.
Yeah, and we expect more of them, don't they? Because they physically look like they've matured. And having 3 teenagers in my house at the moment, it's fair to say the emotions run fairly high, Joe, at various stages. And we're just trying to stay calm as parents, understand they've got a lot going on in all aspects of their life. And for me, you just don't want to see them grow up too quick. There's so much time to experience all the things in life, and you hope they take their time.
Yeah, it is really hard as a parent. You're doing a great job.
Thanks, Joe.
Yeah. After the break, some tips on staying centred when life is knocking you sideways. That's next on the House of Wellness.
Hi, I'm Jay Kisnorbo, and I'm all about the latest beauty, hair and makeup trends.
And I'm Polly Harding, and working in radio, I've still got a lot to learn about the beauty biz.
Together, we're going to bust those beauty myths,
Strip things back to basics and learn a few new tricks in the process.
So, PJ, if 2020 has taught us anything, it's that there's a lot of affordable technologies that are available at home that make things super easy. In particular, hair removal.
I'm so glad you said hair removal, because I forgot to show my legs today, and I'm wearing these 3/4 pants. I thought you couldn't see my legs, but you can. So please, show me.
Don't worry, Flawless has you covered. Let's go.
Okay.
The Flawless range really is about technology meeting style and overall empowering women and making them feel their best. The new razor really, for me, is great, especially if you have no time. And I think the fact that you don't have to go in the bathroom, you don't have to add soap, you don't have to add water, it's just designed especially for a person on the run. How's it feeling?
It's really smooth. And look, oh my God, look, it's got like a little magnifying light.
So you won't miss any hair.
Which I always do.
Everyone does, don't they? I love the thought that's gone behind it.
It actually changes angle when you go back down. That's going to save so much time.
And you know what the great thing is? That it's safe and that it's gentle. And I think for people with sensitive skin, it's such a comforting thing to know you're not going to have a rash at the end of this.
No, actually, though.
Yeah.
It puts a lot of people off shaving.
It really does. There's no nicks, no cuts, and it just leaves you having beautiful, smooth legs. Flawless legs.
So, Darcy, I know we talk a lot about mindfulness and meditation and yoga on the House of Wellness, and your wife, Beck, is a yoga instructor. Do you give it a crack yourself?
I do, Joe. I'm enjoying it. I'm very much at the beginner stage, but I love it. It's fantastic whole body exercise. A bit intimidating when your wife is as flexible and good at it. Not that it's competitive, Joe. It's not competitive.
It's not supposed
but
to be
I like to become an expert. It's taking a bit of time, but I'm right into it.
Yeah, I really love it. Last year, I discovered yoga with Adrienne, who is a worldwide phenomenon. She really introduced me to how it feels in your body, which was new for me. I didn't realise how energising it is, how it just really lifts you, feels amazing, and that it just builds that flow of energy through your body and the 7 key points called chakras. Nikki, explain to us the origin of chakras.
India is where the chakra system was originally designed or written about many, many moons ago. It is an energy system that runs up the spine, basically. So we have 7 chakras, starting at the coccyx and ending at the top of the head. They're basically representing parts of the whole of us, and these energy centres are allowing you to kind of tune yourself in a way.
And tell me about the colours of the chakra. What significance do they have?
So they represent probably the energy of that chakra. So you can notice that it goes from a real dense kind of colour all the way up and starts to get lighter and lighter. It's the same energetically. So the way that we are connected to the ground is through the lower part of our body. And as we move up, we start to open up spiritually, mentally, intuitively as we get up to the higher chakras.
So there are 7 chakras. Can you explain to us where they are, their colours and their connection with who we are?
Sure. So the base chakra is red, and that is basically our earth bounding chakra. The second one is our sacral chakra, so it's about our creativity, and that is orange. Yeah, it's just about 2 inches below the belly button. And then the next one is a few inches above, so that's the solar plexus. We often feel a little tightness here, so this is our self-esteem and the way that we maybe present ourselves and how courageous we are. And then the heart chakra is green, and that is our connection through love and compassion. And then the throat chakra is blue, and this is our way that we communicate. So our language, and also how clear we are with how we communicate in the world. And then there's Ajna, which is our third eye chakra, and that is indigo. So it's like a purple colour, and this is really our intuition, the part of us that connects on a deeper level, and then working towards our spiritual self, which is the crown chakra, and that is usually kind of like a violet colour or a white colour. So let's do the base chakra. So start by placing your feet on the floor and then just slowly lower yourself down. Yoga is very much based on the chakra system. Not always, but generally you'll sequence it towards that. So you'll start in a warm-up at the beginning where you're grounding down, you're placing your feet on the floor. You're really just getting more and more connected to the ground, because often you can come into a yoga class and be thinking about work, thinking about other things, thinking about your life stresses. And then you'll start to build a bit of fire. So as it moves up the chakra system, you'll start to move the body a little bit more fluidly, and it creates a sense of flow of energy.
Feel that?
Yeah.
Sure. Yep.
Nice deep breath in, and then exhale out.
So I hear people talk about being connected with their chakras or having their chakras aligned. What does that mean?
So each chakra is representing a part of us. So that, say for example, the heart chakra. If you are feeling, really lost in life and not connected and unable to share yourself in a loving and compassionate kind of way, you might think that there's something going on energetically there that is not aligned. Say for example, you break up with someone, that's going to affect your heart chakra for sure. It's also probably going to affect the way that you speak. And also the solar plexus, the way that you are kind of presenting yourself to the world and how courageous you are. So I would probably suggest having a look at that and talking to it in a sense that, how do I find balance again within myself like that? How do you feel?
I feel great. So what is the ultimate goal in engaging with our chakras?
I think more than anything is just so you can know yourself. I think that the world that we live in is really feeding this idea that we have to be like someone else a lot of the time, whether it's through social media or whether that's through media itself. We get quite confused about who we are. So the more we can be quite simple and grounded and connected to how that we feel, this just empowers us to present ourselves to everything in life and actually manifest and create things in a really clear way. So it's just like yoga, it's reconnecting you to yourself.
For Canberra Operations Manager Pip Selden, construction runs in the family.
My father worked in the construction industry and 2 brothers, both tradies. So one's an electrician and my brother Dale was a carpenter. In 2009, Dale took his own life. He was 35 at the time, and it was something that was a huge shock to our family. He was the popular guy amongst his mates. He was the one who always had friends over. He was the kind of this casual tradie. He was always the one who was organising the boys' fishing trip. And I guess in hindsight, probably some of the challenges and the struggles that he faced were things that we all just thought were part of life.
The tradie lifestyle isn't just physically taxing. They work long hours, often 6 days a week, and under enormous time pressure. As Pip processed the loss of her brother, she realised these conditions were the cause of an unspoken mental health crisis.
a construction worker is 6 times more likely to die by suicide than a workplace accident. And every second day, a construction worker in Australia takes their own life. Those statistics are not something that we hear. And I've begun to see how much more we need to focus on health and wellbeing as an industry.
5 years ago, Pip started doing her part to support tradie mental health.
This morning, I'm heading out to a construction site to a group of about 50 to 60 tradies.
Every week, she travels to multiple sites across Canberra and New South Wales to present wellbeing workshops.
I want you guys to walk away from this next 15 minutes with some tools that you can use every day, at home, at work, to help you better cope with the pressure and stress of this industry. So our Healthy Tradie or pre-start toolbox talks generally include a mindfulness session. So we actually focus more on breathing and how tradies can actually use their breath to control their mind and control their response to stressful situations. By slowing down your breathing and breathing down deep in here, you're actually changing your nervous system. So if you finish that 30 seconds and you still feel a bit stressed, a bit anxious, a bit angry, maybe go back and take another few breaths.
Who's got a bit of back pain or neck pain?
Pip presents her Healthy Tradie workshops alongside her partner Richard, a fellow construction worker with a passion for yoga.
Yoga is very much about what's the body's state today. So before you start work, if we do some movement and you notice that you've got something a bit tight or something's not quite right, you know you've got to just take care of that today.
This is one you can do every day. It's beautiful. Reach. So the right hand comes over to your left. Right hand to your left. Right hand to other way. Other left. That's it. Good.
We generally leave it until about the middle of the class and we tell the guys that they're doing yoga. So I think they all generally switch on, and we do hear some comments of, oh, my missus does this and this is yoga. But once they actually get into it and they actually feel the benefits, I think they really actually enjoy it.
That's fine. If that's all you got, that's good.
Their mind's concentrating on their body, they're moving with their breath, and they're meditating and they're connected to their body, and suddenly they realise that they're feeling a lot more relaxed.
Hinge.
I think it's a good way to start the day. Like, it's different to what we usually do. Usually it's get to work, you have a quick chat, straight into it. Whether that was like, it sort of sets a different tone for the day. And I just feel a bit more energised and a bit more bendy and stretched.
And open up to the warrior too.
I think it would be good to do it regularly. It'd be a good addition to the work. Not a lot of blokes on site talk about stress and the pressures they face, and they probably should, so it's good to get people out here to encourage those conversations.
It's really interesting when you give tradies the right environment. People, I think, perceive that men being men won't open up and have those conversations, but create the right environment and they will. I experience that when we go out onto construction sites and we do these sessions and I share my story, that I often do have tradies who will come and talk to me after that and give us that feedback that, thanks for actually caring about us and actually taking some time out to do something that supports us.
Personally lost the best mate at 21. He was 21.
Yeah.
Just all sides. I think this is a really good thing for the boys. And
if I can change or even save just one life by having a conversation or encouraging other men to have conversations, and they can then change someone else's life, then I know the work that we're doing is beneficial.
Welcome back to the House of Wellness Kitchen and to the topic of sleep, which I'm sure you're wondering, GQ, what has that got to do with food?
Well, Hainesy, we spend a third of our life asleep, and we talk about it often on the show because the quality of our sleep can affect both our mental and our physical health. And today we're going to talk about 2 natural ingredients that are going to make a difference. One is magnesium and the other passion flower.
Mate, I'm the first in line when it comes to taking your advice, especially if it means getting better quality sleep. Now, when I'm struggling with disease, I actually turn to dark chocolate because it is packed with magnesium. And funnily enough, I'm using it in the recipe here today in 2 forms in its raw form. We've got raw cacao and raw cacao nibs. That's what gives these choc chip cookie dough bites their delicious, chewy texture.
Hines, it's great you're getting your magnesium from food sources, but this super mineral is really important for your nighttime routine. It calms tense muscles, it settles an anxious racing mind, and it improves your sleep quality.
GQ, I reckon there's going to be a lot of people watching this who are going to relate to laying in bed feeling night cramps, restlessness. Some nights when I'm laying in bed, mate, my mind will not switch off. It's racing in circles. I'm thinking, hang on, have I fed the dogs? What am I doing for work tomorrow? If Brad and Angelina can't make it, then what load do we have? You know what I mean? And then why do cockroaches only come at night? Why are cats so moody and dogs are just so adorable and cuddly?
Wow, Heinzie, you really got a lot off your chest there. Now, you can certainly have a couple of extra choc bites to settle you down. And while magnesium's important for easing muscle tension, another important aspect to calm your mind is the tropical vine plant passion flower.
Is passion flower from the same plant that produces passion fruit?
Yes, it is. And the actives in passion flower have a number of functions. They're very calming for that busy mind, very soothing for where you just can't seem to relax, and they do induce some drowsiness to help quality sleep. Now, when you combine passion flower with magnesium, you've got a perfect combination. They're available in powder form, which you can enjoy as a delicious drink, either hot or cold, depending on the season.
Sounds convenient and calming. Now, mate, I've got to say, the combination of your dulcet tones and all this talk of sleep has got me craving a bit of a nap. Reckon you'd sing me a lullaby?
Not today, Heinzie. I'll just have one of those.
Hey.
The A to Z of Vitamins is brought to you by Ethical Nutrients, Australian Pharmacy's #1 magnesium brand.
In 2020, the pandemic meant all the concerns about too much screen time for ourselves and our kids flew out the window. We're all doing Zoom meetings, binging on Netflix. Well, with all that screen time, people got into wearing blue light glasses to help the eye strain. But do they really work? Joe caught up with leading eye surgeon Dr. Jane Khan to filter out the facts.
How much blue light actually comes from our screens?
Really, there's actually very little blue light is emitted from most digital screens nowadays. And if you compare it to the sort of International Commission on Non-Ionising Radiation Protection committee, what they consider to be safe, it's actually less than 0.5% of the level that they think is still safe. So, you know, we are really talking about very low amount of emission that's coming from screens.
So is it enough to actually damage our eyes?
There's certainly no evidence so far that the amount of blue light we're getting from screens is harmful. We do recognise that a lot of us are looking at these screens directly for long hours.
When I've had a long day at the screen, though, I do feel some impact on my eyes. What could be causing that?
Just the fact that we are spending a lot of time staring at a lot of small detail on our screens, and whenever we're focused on something mentally and literally with our eyes, we tend not to blink as much as we would if we were walking around and about. And we also often in our offices are sitting in air-conditioned environments, and that lack of blinking and the air conditioning or dry environment will lead to certainly surface dryness on the eyes. That makes the eyes feel sore, it makes the eyes feel tired. It can also blur the vision.
But just to clarify, if we're experiencing some discomfort with our eyes, having been on the screen for a long time, it's more likely to be eye strain than the blue light.
That's absolutely right. The blue light itself won't be causing this phenomenon we now call digital eye strain.
I've seen lots of products out there that supposedly block blue light, glasses, screen protectors. Do they work?
There's certainly no evidence that the amounts that we're getting from digital screens at the moment are not exactly harmful. So, you know, they will block blue light, but actually it is recognised that it may be useful to have that bit of blue light during the day. So you probably don't actually want to block all of it because that could affect your mood and alertness. But maybe it is something you want to consider later in the day. But other measures that a lot of screens have now is just simply reducing the brightness and putting it on nighttime settings so that you are just reducing that brightness, especially in the later in the evening when you're heading to bedtime.
All right, team, blue light glasses. What's the verdict? Yes or no?
I don't really subscribe to it.
Okay.
Look, I reckon until we've got Aussie standards saying whether they work or not, we should actually, rather than trying to prevent damage from being on our screen, let's step back and deal with the problem. Too much screen time. Turn those devices off 2 hours before bed and you'll be good to go.
Good advice from you, Hines. We spoke a bit today about love languages, Joe. One that stands out for you?
Yes. Well, the interesting thing is when you and your partner might have different love languages. So for my husband, he's very much into words of affirmation, which, whatever. But for me, I like acts of service. And this is a really good conversation for us now to go, give me more acts of service. Thanks very much.
What about you, GQ?
Well, let you in on Joe's secret. Her secret is, fill my car, please, Daz, or wash the dishes for me.
Oh, yes.
That's the language of love in Joe's.
It's
Mine's
true.
quality time. I think spending time with the
I'm a bit
person.
with you, GQ. Not a big gift receiver. It doesn't do it for me. I'm not great at giving them, not because I don't value them. I don't value them, but a bit of quality time.
Yes.
Just a little weekend away, time one-on-one with the kids works for me.
Well,
Heinzie.
speaking of quality time, I've absolutely loved spending quality time with you guys. What a show.
And brilliant to have you guys back at our new venue here in the House of Wellness for 2021. Great to see you both in person. As always, if you want to find out more about the show, go to our website at houseofwellness.com.au. Tune in every Sunday to Joe and GQ on the House of Wellness radio show. As always, thanks to our great friends at Chemist Warehouse. We'll catch you next time.